I know that I already reviewed Shatterhand for the NES, and no one can argue that it's one of the most underrated games in the NES library, and it's a great game. However, being so dedicated to bring it back to life, I felt like as though I was given a history lesson rather than reviewing the game itself in the other video, even though I did mention facts about it that was surprising, not to mention that the video was over half an hour long. So let's revisit this hidden gem and make sure it's done better in a more efficient time. Before we get to the game, let's watch this intro. Man, I'll never get tired of that. Aside from being deceived by the ridiculous box art cover, you'll find the graphics superb. There's a lot of nice details in the foreground as well as in the background. I mentioned before that there's almost no black lining in the graphics, as Natsume used black as a fourth shade value, which was used in the best looking games. The enemy's character sprites looks pretty good as well. My one complaint about the enemy designs is that some of them will be reused in later levels, as the only difference in them are the change in colors. Shatterhand himself looks kick-ass here. Yes, he somewhat resembles Schwarzenegger, but at least he doesn't look as cheesy as his box art counterpart. Who the fuck is this guy supposed to be, Al Bundy? Did Peggy go out on another pointless shopping spree, or did Marcy rally up another feminist liberal protest? The animation is nice and smooth. And yes, I know that's what she said. Nothing glitches out of place and the sprites are leveled and balanced. The only time the animation would come to a crawl is when an overwhelming amount of enemies are on the screen, and this is very noticeable in the submarine level, where these embryos just keep fucking coming. Oh my god! My favorite part of the graphics, aside from the intro and ending, is the Area B background, where the fourth shade value comes into play. I have no complaints here. The graphics may not be spectacular, but they're great nonetheless. The controls are tight and responsive. You move the way you want Shatterhand to move. He doesn't slip and slide all over the place, and his actions are not delayed or loose that it makes you feel frustrated to play it. The jumping is also well calibrated. Shatterhand will jump at a certain height depending on how light or hard you press the A button, and how long you hold it for as well, allowing you to move all in the air to get from one ground to another. The jumping becomes a bit of a problem in Area D, where you go underwater as your movements feel sluggish, and it's obvious that Natsume was trying to make the water physics realistic. But I'm surprised Shatterhand can move underwater with those leg braces that looks too heavy for him to swim with. But what does he care? He's Shatterhand! The B button allows you to punch with your fist, and obviously your fists are the primary weapons in this game, which you might think at first is lame, but your arms do pack some powerful punches, like they advertised. You do a simple jab at first, but press the B button repeatedly and your punches will become stronger. You can also punch bullets. No, I'm not kidding. You can literally punch bullets. The fucking cool meter on this game just went up dramatically. A couple of more things to mention is that you can cling onto gates if they're present, but you might not know this at first because they blend in with the background. And when it comes to the bots, you can use them to hover you up and fling them, which was something I never knew about when I was young. To perform this trick, you have to press down and A at the same time. You'll be able to hover straight up, and to fling the bot, press B. Otherwise, you'll fall down and your bot will go nowhere. I really wish Natsume made this more useful so that you can hover anywhere, and they could have done this because they were able to pull it off in scat. However, this hovering skill can be useful to take out enemies at a distance or spare your bot from getting damaged by throwing it off screen to preserve it. Throughout the game, you'll have to be fast on the controls as this game gets harder by the minute. As I mentioned before, you'll get satellite bots to assist you, and there are 8 different combinations for a different type. This is the combination for each. All you need is 3 alpha or beta symbols to create a handy companion. Any of them except the floater and the flamethrower bots are helpful in your mission. My personal favorite is the bomber. The floater bot is almost useless as it only fires projectiles that flings up to the ceilings, which is pointless because the only enemies attached to the ceilings are the droid pod generators that disperse seekers and triple mines. Not to mention the fact that you can pretty much take them out with any other bot or fling them, or use your damn fist for God's sakes. The flamethrower bot is the worst though. Using it is troublesome as you'll spend almost 3 minutes trying to adjust to it, and even if you do, it can still fuck you over when you're trying to move with it. While using it, you can't punch, and if you do, you lose a long stretch of flame that is only ignited for about 8 seconds. Why the fuck couldn't it be a continuous flame? Even if it was, the flame would still swing around so loose, and it's also a liability since enemies that aren't hit by it can sneak in and take you out. So it's not worth wasting your time figuring out this piece of shit. Another aspect of the bots I don't favor much is how they appear. They float above you in an awkward 45-degree angle, and it can be very annoying for them to take damage more than you want them to. All 8 of these bots shoot at a downward angle. If you get the same combination twice, you'll upgrade into a cybernetic power suit where you literally shoot fireballs from your hands. Wow, I'll take anything better than the Pyro Bot any day. It comes with a timer, and as I mentioned before, you get more time on it than what it tells you, just as long as you don't take much damage. With the suit, you are invincible, but every hit you take, you lose a second off your oh-so-accurate timer. When you run out, you revert back to the bot you used for the combination. As for the enemies, they're okay, but their AI could have been tweaked a bit, like the running guys as they just run into you like kamikazes. The soldiers seem to look superior, but it must hurt for them to kneel down all day like that waiting for you. The strategists, as I mentioned, have the equivalent IQ of Lester the Unlikely. Even though they have guns, they run away when you chase them. Do they really think that Shatterhand is a Terminator or a crab or a fucking turtle? Yeah, General Grover must be real proud of his men, alright. The enemy I hate the most are these damn choppers. They'll fly around and circle you like as though you're their prey, and they'll shoot missiles at you. And sometimes these choppers can be dicks just by flying into you. The other enemy that can annoy you are these commandos. They have fully automatic weapons, or in this case, 3 burst weapons. Sure, you can punch bullets, but not these ones as you won't be able to get them all. They can also throw grenades out at you if you're far from them, which can be very frustrating to avoid. At least they're not as annoying as religious fanatics on YouTube. Anyways, the gameplay is where Shatterhand really shines and performs. In each level, you have to get from one point to the other, and at the end of each level is a teleporter that will take you to the boss. It's all pretty generic, and I don't know how you can fuck that up. But if this game was made by Ocean or LGN, I'm sure they would have found more ways than imaginable, and thank God they never got involved. With this routine, it's pretty similar to Mega Man, and it's very noticeable on the final level in the stage select screen. But then again, many other NES games borrowed the same aspects too. The layout looks kind of similar to Ninja Gaiden, and the flow takes you back to Shadow of the Ninja on the NES. Throughout each level, you'll come across boxes that can contain anything from an alpha or beta icon, to coins, to money bags, and to grenades. There's also 3 types of platform stations. The power-up station that gives you a red jacket and increases the strength in your punches, 100 points. The health station regenerates your health, 300 points. The EX stations gives you an extra life, 2,000 points. And as I mentioned, there are only 2 of them in the entire game, one in Area D and the other in Area E. The strangest thing about the stations is that some of them are actually hidden. There's one in each level. I never knew these existed until I came across one by accident in Area D. They don't even mention this shit in the manual or in Nintendo Power. What the fuck? There are 7 levels in the game, and after beating the first one, you get to choose which of the 5 levels you want to go to next. Again, similar to Mega Man. Then after clearing all 5 of them on the stage select screen, it takes you to the intense final level. The bosses are pretty good, but some of them can be real easy once you know what you're doing. My favorite boss is Infernon. Facing him is not much of a problem, but given the circumstances and the level of difficulty you have to face him in, that's another thing. Speaking of difficulty, the game starts out easy when you go through the first level, but as you proceed, the difficulty rises and you need to be ready, otherwise you'll be used to this dying sequence. It's like as though you got hit by the fucking Hulk. You get 3 lives and unlimited continues, and you'll be thankful for that, especially when it comes to the final level, but that's another story. Think of the difficulty of this game like football. You better move it or you'll get your ass tackled, and when you do, it won't be pretty. This game has some of the best music scores I've ever heard in my life. There's a different piece of music in each level, and it keeps the game from getting monotonous from listening to one continuous tune that loops. The one thing I don't like is that the theme for Area F is used for Area E. Couldn't they have come up with a different piece for the stage? They could use music in almost everything else in the game, but not here, oh no. If it was as memorable as other themes, it would have had its own CD soundtrack like that Atari Jaguar game, but you can at least hear them separately in the test mode, along with the sound effects, which are also pretty good, especially when you defeat a boss. They explode everywhere, trying to make you have a seizure. Jesus Christ! It's also worth noting that the music here was composed by the same duo that composed the music for Shadow of the Ninja. It's like Natsume made nothing but good games, but I can't say the same for Harvest Moon, where it's the same shit over and over again. Somewhere in those games, Einstein's insanity theory is relevant. As I mentioned in my previous video of Shatterhand, I managed to pull off an outstanding glitch when I faced Infernon. What you're seeing here is the second time I've pulled it off in my lifetime. I'm almost dead, likewise Infernon. I'm about to hit him, but he ends up hitting me, and I go down. But somehow, he gets destroyed as I'm lying on the ground in agony, and I still win the battle. Just look at this. If you examine this footage carefully, my fist almost made contact with Infernon's armor when he striked me out one last time, yet I somehow still take him out and win. This is more unbelievable than the glitch in Area B. It's like as though Shatterhand is too badass to waste his punch on this schmuck. If I was born earlier to pull this off and submit it to Nintendo Power, I would have gotten an honorable mention. If there's one thing that I'm disappointed with this game the most is that they could have done so much more with it. Like for example, add some diversity into the gameplay, like the train in the Ravaged City. They could have made a segment where Shatterhand is on an active train, beating up bad guys and getting to a mini-boss, and after that the train crashes and you proceed. It also might have been cool if you could take out a chopper guy and use the chopper itself for a segment in the level where you fly above the city skyline like in Scat. Or how about a bike level similar to Battletoads, but not as hard, or God forbid harder? In the filtration plant, they could have made it snow on the outside to make the winter-like environment more obvious and unique. The Anti-Gravity Research Center could have had a part where Shatterhand would have to climb up a cliff or mountain while contending with falling boulders. How about more hidden areas like in the first level, or alternate routes that leads to different places? How about a cryptic maze-like level? Anything different that would have made this game stand out like the rest of the classics. But this is as good as it can get for now. It may not be popular with a huge mass, but it's still worth your time playing, and it's a real contender for a sweet remake if done correctly, and I do mean correctly. Unless someone makes a gnarly hack of this game, this is what we have for now. Thanks for watching. I'm Riley Sky. See you later. Is he doing what I think he's doing? Shatterhand, I don't think that's what your fists are for.